Salutations everyone, this is Razor giving you guys not really a review of Destiny. I don't think it's something that you can review after only a week, but it is definitely my thoughts on the game so far. It's kind of like a console in that it's something that's supposed to last a while and that is going to change and be constantly supported for a long time. So you can't really make a really quick review of it just after a week or probably even a month. I think this game has lots of things to offer and is just going to be exponentially bigger the further along it goes in the future. But I've played a fair amount. I've played pretty much anything that you can do in the game. I've gotten a real big taste before I wanted to make this video to, give it, a fair, broad, generalizing thoughts as well as some specifics. So this is just some Crucible gameplay. I thought it was more entertaining background than doing like a strike or something. Even those are fun to watch, but I just thought this was a much safer, easier thing to start off with. But it's not that's not that great. Honestly, I'm not too good at the Crucible so far. There's some balancing issues which I'll get into in a minute, but it is definitely different than most multiplayers. But overall, the Destiny game. I've played everything that you can play so far, at least at my level. I'm level 23 right now. The level cap is 20, which does confuse some people. Your level increases past 20 when you gain gear that contains light. And after a certain amount of light, you will increase to level 21, 22, and so on and so forth. And not too sure on how much light is possible, like what the cap is, or what is the greatest amount, depending on what gear is available right now. The highest that I have seen so far on the internet is 29. Let me know if you guys have seen anything higher than that. But I'm sure that's going to be changing in the future, especially with all the support this game is going to get. It's getting new content every single week, at least for the foreseeable future, and then if not, probably every other week or so. And that's not even including the expansions. This is just a vanilla game that's getting a lot of support week after week. We already saw a new multiplayer playlist in the Crucible that's like Hardpoint. Right now I'm playing a Domination, and there's also a team deathmatch and a free-for-all type game. They're adding a new strike on Tuesday, which is hopefully the day that this comes out. Maybe it comes out on Wednesday. I'm not sure. I'm in the middle of moving, so things aren't going to be very steady on this channel for the next couple weeks. But anyways, I definitely like the game so far. I've played through the entirety of what I guess you could say is the story, and that I've played every mission that you can play by yourself. Like I said before in my What Mattered video, the story isn't gripping. The story isn't great. I hope to see it evolve in future updates. It's not that interesting. They don't expand a lot on the backstory or the lore like you see in other great games such as Halo, which Bungie has done, or games like Mass Effect or Gears of War or something like that. But the story doesn't need to be great in this type of game. Definitely helps, not gonna lie, it definitely helps. But a lot of people have weird thoughts about this game and what they expected, and people have been saying a lot that this game isn't living up to the hype, that it's died to the hype. There's just been so much hype, and really that's completely ill-founded. This game had no hype whatsoever. There was a lot of expectations that people created for themselves because this is the most expensive video game of all time, costing $500 million, even though I'm sure a lot of that is for marketing, which really wasn't that big of a push, I felt like, but that's just me. I'm not your typical consumer when it comes to that sort of thing. But people made a lot of criticisms based off of what they thought the game was going to be, which was created in their own hands. I think Bungie and the entire Destiny team did a pretty good job at showing us what this game was going to be, and with the alpha and with the beta, a very, very good sample size of what the game actually is. And I think people saying that it had too much hype, this game really didn't have much hype at all. It's not like it was People were giving it amazing reviews and saying that the story was fantastic, that the multiplayer was game-changing, any of that stuff. It was just had a lot of expectations because, it was the most expensive video game ever. It's, this the new platforms that a lot of people are playing on. They're looking for the next big thing. It's Bungie's first IP since leaving Halo to 343. So people got their hopes up. It's not Bungie's fault. It's not Activision's fault. People just were expecting different things for their own reasons. They expected a game that that Destiny isn't, and that's not a bad thing. That was just, they made the wrong assumptions and had different expectations of what this game was going to bring. It is an open world first-person shooter. It's a first-person shooter first and like an MMO second. It's very light on the MMO RPG elements, but I think they're good. They're very complementary to the game that we have. It's not as huge as other games you would see, like a Diablo, where the classes are much more different from each other. And, there's a lot of different stats and skill trees and different types of things that you can do with different classes. But I think there's a good amount of variety. There are 3 classes available right now. I would not be surprised at all if they added a couple in either updates or expansions. Each class has 2 subclasses right now. This is something I also think that might change. They might add another. There is a 3rd slot that's just wide open. So that's something that they can easily add, and many people would expect them to. But I think there are, enough things to do, the 3 classes getting 2 subclasses each. There's different ways to play. There's not a whole lot of variety of weapons, which is fine. It's a first-person shooter. How many different kinds of guns can you have as far as, types and models of weapons? You have the hand cannon, which is a pistol, which is super useless until you get, like, rare ones that have, like, 11-plus round magazines, which is what I'm rocking right here, although they are not great, especially in the Crucible. It is, like I said during the beta, it is fairly obvious that the assault rifle is the end-all be-all weapon to use in the Crucible. That really hasn't changed. Shotguns and snipers, of course, are going to be, good or bad depending on the range. But people have been confused about the multiplayer of what they should expect as well. It is a PvP, not a multiplayer, as most people know as multiplayer to be from like Call of Duty or Battlefield or Halo, in that everyone's on a level playing field. That is not the case. This is a PvP, so if, one guy has a better gun than another guy, that first guy is going to have an advantage. And that's just the way it works. Not to say that levels come into play, at least in the playlist that we have now. There was the Iron Banner Crucible playlist that was added during the beta for like half an hour that will be making a return, in which your leveling discrepancies will be prominent in the multiplayer. So for instance, in this game that I'm playing right now, a level 12 with gun A will do this exact same damage and have the exact same stats as a level 16 with gun A. But in the level 16, the higher level you are, the better guns and gear you're going to have access to. So you're going to be doing more damage, you're going to be having more defense, you're going to be having faster cooldowns on your superpowers and grenades and such. So higher levels are generally going to be at a greater advantage to the lower levels, especially if they just happen to have really awesome guns. And there isn't a lot of variety and a whole lot of loot available in this game, as most people would be expecting or used to from like a dungeon crawler or Borderlands. In that there aren't a whole lot of times where you're upgrading, 10 things a day, but it's just, I think you get the same effect, you just don't get it as often. You don't get as many upgrades from things that you have, but the same sort of aesthetic and playstyle and the mechanics of the upgrading loot system still works. You just don't get as much of it. I think the story mode is a little bit lackluster, but in the strikes and the raids that will be coming up add a lot. The game is as difficult as you want it to be. Some people have been saying the game is too easy or the AI sucks. The game is only as easy as you want it to be. If you want it to be hard, there's easy ways to do that. And I think this is going to be an even greater game as the weeks and months and even years go on, depending on how long this game actually lasts. They expect it to last 10 years. They're going to be giving out a lot of expansions, only 2 planned out so far. That should be coming out in the near future. But I think it's got a long tail ahead of it, and I definitely like the package that we have so far. It has its ups and downs. It has some balancing. It's definitely going to be changing. It's going to get better. I think for a few different reasons, as far as the amount of content and balancing things, as well as improvements and additions to the game. But I definitely like it so far. Crucible's pretty fun. The story mode is pretty fun. Being in a fire team with your friends and stuff is really nice and works just like any other MMO should. And it's a fun game overall. Let me know what you guys think about the game so far. Obviously, if you have the game, your opinion will be weighted accordingly. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I will see you next time.